I'm back at my favorite arcade in my hometown. It's called the Capital City Arcade in New Westminster. And you know what that means? It's time to give away some awards. Welcome to the Rocket and Raygun Awards. All right, you guys, 2024 was a pretty incredible year for games, as you're about to witness. So many great titles to talk about, so many awards to give away. Let's get started with our nominees for the best indie game of 2024. Mini Shoot Adventures from Soul Game Studios. Thank Goodness You're Here from Cole Supper. Animal Well from Billy Basso. Balatro from Local Thunk. UFO 50 from Mossmouth. Impossible choices in that list. All of them are worthy of this award, but I had to give it to the game that had the most to offer. It was 50 games that could have been on the old Nintendo Entertainment System, so our winner is UFO 50. What an accomplishment, an incredible game, or games, should we say games. So much fun in that title. But I think polling went in a totally different way. More than 50% of you chose Balatro, and I completely understand that choice. It is absolutely a beautiful accomplishment, an incredibly addictive title, but I just could not get away from the juggernaut that is UFO 50. All right, let's move on now to the best fighting game of 2024. Tekken 8 from Bandai Namco. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics from Capcom. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero from Bandai Namco. Now, this category was just stupid. First of all, there weren't that many fighting games that came out in 2024 of note, and one of them, which is our winner, was a collection of a bunch of awesome fighting games. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is such an impossible, beautiful gift from Capcom. We didn't think that this would ever happen, and it did in such a triumphant way. Obviously, Tekken 8 is such a killer new experience, and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is so much fun. It's so much fun for the diehards of that franchise, but you cannot stand up to the avalanche of incredible experiences in Marvel vs. Capcom. What an amazing pickup for fighting fans this year. Capcom, keep those collections coming, and hopefully this sends out a huge signal to all of the other game makers out there that have collections of licensed titles that are just sitting there waiting to be made. Love Marvel vs. Capcom. Polling for this one was a little bit different. We actually had 46 for Tekken 8, understandable, but a huge chunk of you also voted for Marvel vs. Capcom, and also Dragon Ball showed up respectably there. See, this was a tough one, and all of the nominees for each category are going to be incredibly tough. But I did ask people, viewers and lots of friends of Electric Playground, to send us your ideas for the Game of the Year for 2024. Take a look.
Now, as far as my top 3 games of 2024 are concerned, let's start at the beginning of the year with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, another slam dunk from Ryoga Gokoto Studios, another hilarious Ichiban Kasuga Yakuza RPG adventure in Hawaii. That should already sell you right there. So much hilarious and engaging side content that'll keep you occupied for a long time if you haven't checked it out. Number 2 is going to go to Animal Well, which was published by Big Mode Games and developed by Billy Basso. A fantastic atmospheric Metroidvania adventure, and it is absolutely worth your time if you haven't checked it out just yet. And number 1, I'm not saying this just because I played it with Victor Lucas this year, goes to Mario Party Jamboree. If I think of games in 2024 that I had the most fun playing with my friends and even by myself, honestly, Mario Party Jamboree absolutely knocked it out of the park, and it was fun every second that I played it. And it is my 2024 Rocket and Raygun Game of the Year.
I'm Batman. At least I am when I'm wearing this. My 2024 Game of the Year is Batman Arkham Shadow, which also happens to hail from the studio that impressed me the most last year, which is Camouflage. Ryan Payton and his brilliant team managed to translate the proven Arkham formula to VR with few compromises, and some of my favorite video game memories from last year were spent getting a workout battling the inmates of Blackgate Prison while uncovering the mystery of the Rat King. I'd also like to give a shout out to the Marvel vs. Capcom Arcade Classics Collection, a dream project no one ever thought would happen, and TMNT Splintered Fate, which made its way from the Apple Arcade subscription service to Nintendo Switch this past summer. Here's its playing forever in 2025 and beyond.
Brian Shea here, host of the All Things Nintendo podcast and former director at Game Informer. My top 3 games that released in 2024 are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Balatro, and Astrobot.
If I were to pick my top 3 favorite games of 2024, I'd have to go with Astrobot, Helldivers 2, and Marvel Rivals. Astrobot is right up my alley. I'm always down for a good platformer, and Team Asobi crafted such a beautifully fun experience. Helldivers 2 brought plenty of chaos to my gaming sessions, but in the most hilarious way possible. I couldn't stop laughing, and everyone in the squad was laughing as well. Good times all around. And Marvel Rivals turned me into a true believer. I never thought it was possible, but NetEase Games showed me that there's actually a lot of fun to be had in the hero shooter genre.
I played a lot of the big games this year and a lot of the smaller ones, and my favorite game of 2024 ended up being the smallest. Literally mini. It's called Mini Shoot Adventures by Soul Game Studio. It may not look like much at first glance, but I promise you, try the demo. It's free on Steam right now, and you have hours of entertainment in the demo alone. You can carry your save over to the full game. It's incredible. It's like a twin stick shooter mixed with old school Zelda exploration. It's a combination that I didn't know I wanted, but now that I have it, I couldn't get enough of it. The map is not enormous. The open world is quite small but dense, with full of secrets to find. Everywhere you go, you're finding new hidden passageways, new power-ups. It just keeps you playing. Every time, like every few seconds, you just get something new, and something new happens, and you want to keep on playing. It's very, very addictive. The sound is great, very crunchy. The music's good, and it's not a billion hours long. It's a nice size game. We need more of those. Let's just get in and out, people. 5-8 hours. That's what I want. Mini Shoot Adventures, please check it out. It deserves way more attention. My favorite game, Mini Shoot Adventures.
Number 1 for me is Animal Well. I'm just incredibly impressed by how many different layers there are to that game, how many secrets, how good it all feels. Just incredible to come from mostly the mind of one person. Balatro, I think most of us have gotten hooked on in some way or another. Had played it for a few weeks on Steam and then let it go for a while, and then I picked it up on my phone in December for the flight for Christmas break, and then it took over. Semi-official 3rd place, we'll say Astrobot. I think they've done an incredible job with Astrobot. It's great to have a really solid, gorgeous 3D platformer. And of course, all of the PlayStation celebration of history and figuring out what some of these guys are that you might not recognize. It's just very, very polished. That's it. There it is. Top 3, Animal Well, Balatro, Astrobot.
My favorite games from 2024, right off the bat, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Story was great, the action was great, it runs really well on the Switch. Another great game is a game called Nobody Wants to Die. In this world, the rich can live forever. It's a really great game, great story, it has multiple endings. If you like the detective mechanic from Batman Arkham Asylum, you really like this game as well. The voice acting is great. This was honestly a hidden gem, and you definitely need to check this game out. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This game is absolutely fantastic. Truly felt like you were not only watching a movie, but you did feel like Indiana. Troy Baker did a fantastic job voicing Indy. Not only Troy Baker, the entire cast.
There were quite a few great games in 2024. In particular, my 2 runner-ups being Astrobot and Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. But if I have to name my favorite, it has got to be Balatro, and I spent over 300 hours on this game. It's just incredibly addicting, despite the generic premise of poker roguelike. Once you get the right set of jokers and cards in your disposal, that dopamine rush you get when your scores are building up, you see all the flames, it's just amazing to behold. I'm gonna say this is not just my favorite game of 2024, It's my favorite indie game of all time, and I don't say something like that very lightly.
What are some of my favorite games released in 2024? 2024 was a stacked year for games, but I would have to pick Helldivers 2 for its ridiculousness and incredible, absolutely genius gameplay, and the amount of fun that I had playing that game definitely gets a pick from me. Then there's Marvel Rivals, because they somehow managed to make an Overwatch game that is improved from the Overwatch that I know. It has such incredible, character designs and gameplay, so it's definitely worthy of the Marvel title. It wins all the awards. And then I would have to mention Planet Coaster 2. I know it has its problems, but I'm a Planet Coaster super fan, and it's my comfort game, so having more content was just a win for me, so I have to mention Planet Coaster 2.
My favorite game released in 2024 is Cat Quest 3. After playing through Cat Quest and Cat Quest 2 during the lockdown, I quickly fell in love with the charming RPG series. When I heard that a new pirate-themed entry was releasing, I knew I had to give it a try. Cat Quest 3 is a fantastic sequel that builds upon what made the other games great, while also incorporating new elements such as ship combat. I thought the upgrade system for the ships was well designed, and the addition of the 2D side-scrolling sections allowed for a change of pace in terms of the gameplay. Cat Quest 3 is filled with fun side quests, new enemies, and an abundance of feline-themed puns, making it my favorite game released in 2024.
Thanks, everybody. Great insights, great observations. As you can see, this is always a very difficult task to put these awards together. All of these games are incredible. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Rocket and Raygun Awards, celebrating the best of 2024, and we are broadcasting from the Capital City Arcade in New Westminster, British Columbia. This is the coolest freaking arcade in my hometown. I love it here. It is absolutely a deep dunk into my history. A lot of these games are the reason why you have the electric playground. So instrumental in my upbringing. But let's move on. We've got another award to give away. It's for Best VR Game, but I'm not going into that without hearing first from the Virtual Boys.
So Chris, what are our favorite games of 2024?
You mean VR games, right?
Is there any other kind?
I heard that there are, but that's not what we do, Ryan. So what would be your runner-up game?
I gotta go with Triangle Strategy from Square Enix. It was a wonderful port of that Switch game released a couple years ago. It's top-down RTS action, but made better by VR, and it's a game that really got my attention. What about you?
Well, I would say that title got my attention because it's got to be one of the worst video game titles ever. But my runner-up for VR game of 2024 would probably be Metro Awakening. I was a huge fan, especially of the first two entries, and Metro Awakening put me inside that world and took me back to the subways. And since it was written by the original author of the series, it just feels like a Metro game, man.
Nice. And our number one pick has to be Batman Arkham Shadow, a game that put you back in the suit and made you feel like Batman.
Yeah, and it also perfectly recreated that famous Rocksteady combat system and made it actually work in virtual reality, and it made me feel like Batman.
That's why it's our pick for Best Game of the Year.
Thank you, Chris and Ryan. Yes, excellent ideas there, but I am right in line with you. The best VR game of 2024 is Batman Arkham Shadow. This game was phenomenal. It's not only the best VR game of 2024, it is one of the best VR games that's ever been created. You feel like Batman, you get to do all the cool Batman stuff. There is no compromise, and it is a beautiful next step for this comic book character immersion that this studio is delivering to us. I can't wait to see what they've got cooking for their next project, but you do not want to sleep on Batman Arkham Shadow. What a game. All right, and our next award goes out to the best action game of 2024. Take a look. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 from Focus Entertainment. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 from Activision. Stellar Blade from Sony Interactive Entertainment. Black Myth Wukong from Game Science. Helldivers 2 from Sony Interactive Entertainment. Look, all 5 of those games are worthy of this title. They're all incredible action experiences. I love Black Myth. I love Space Marine 2. That was a lot of fun. I thought Helldivers 2 was phenomenal, and I really enjoyed Stellar Blade. The action and the combat in that game is superb. But the game that is such a massive juggernaut, and they really didn't let us down this year, it's Call of Duty Black Ops 6. This was a really, really solid entry in this long-running franchise, but Black Ops 6 brought back some vibes of like playing a GoldenEye or Perfect Dark game. There was some great intrigue, some great espionage action in there, and of course there's all the multiplayer content and all the zombies content. Black Ops 6 was terrific, and what an amazing get for Game Pass subscribers. I think they got their money's worth that month. Black Ops 6 is phenomenal. And in the polling, this was a very highly contested race here. Helldivers 2 was your choice, was 30.2% of the vote, and Stellar Blade was right behind that with 20.8%. Call of Duty was your last choice. So I think a lot of people out there might be a little overdone on Call of Duty, but for me, it was unassailable. It was such an incredible experience. Now, one of the things that I requested from everybody was to send me a video outlining one of their favorite moments in games from 2024.
Best memory playing a game in 2024 wasn't actually a game from 2024, but close enough. And it was playing co-op with my young son, who was 6 at the time, Super Mario Wonder. You might be saying, oh geez, yes, Nintendo, isn't that cute? But no, I'm telling you, the game design, the amount of tension, excitement, the strategy, the psychedelic presentation, the high fives and laughs, and just sheer wonder and joy that we shared during that play experience for at least about 6 weeks, trying to go after the hardest possible levels. Absolutely the most memorable experience playing last year.
My favorite gaming memory of 2024 was probably the first time I beat Balatro. It was just the moment that made me realize that this was one of my favorite games that I've played in recent memory.
My favorite memory from gaming last year was playing Baldur's Gate 3 with my friends. That game is amazing. It never gets old, and my favorite part of playing with my friends was we were teaching one of them how to play it, and he kept messing things up so badly it would flip the entire story on its head, which just was all the more hilarious.
My favorite memory I had playing a video game in 2024 was the Uncharted level in Astrobot. Astrobot is a celebration of PlayStation's 30 years in the gaming industry, and when that Uncharted theme song just kicks, man, it made me so emotional. It reminded me of why I love video games. It just was such an incredible moment.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Big Chalk, representing level 857, and I'm here to talk about my favorite gaming memory of 2024. It has to do with Marvel Rivals. Me and the boys jumped on, had a 6-player squad, and we went to town. That game was super, super fun, and we lost a bunch of games that day, but we still had fun. So, you know, that's how I know it was something special. Awesome.
Both Astrobot and Helldivers 2 showed, in my opinion, and is one of my favorite memories of 2024, that it doesn't require hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. A small team can make a big impact and a big contribution to this industry in a very big way. So absolutely, kudos to Team Asobi as well as Arrowhead for giving us a great start to the year and a fantastic wrap up to the end of the year.
Hey kids, it's John here from Midlife Side Quest, coming to you from sunny Minnesota, where right now it is a balmy minus 9 degrees Fahrenheit. I think my favorite video game memory from 2024 was playing Botany Manor with my son. That is a great life in front of Parliament. That is fun to play on a couch with somebody. It was a great time. One of my favorite games of the whole year.
The best memory I had playing a video game in 2024, hands down, Casey's Gold. The game I played over the Christmas break. It was like a time machine. It pulled me back to when I was like 12 years old, playing games on my Atari 2600. It's the spiritual successor to a game called Keystone Capers by Activision. You play this conductor collecting gold that's hidden out throughout this train. Every car has different obstacles, and it gets larger and larger and longer and longer. And as you traverse this train and you collect the gold, You move on to different areas. Sometimes you stop at a ghost town, and sometimes you stop at a mine, which plays like the original Keystone Capers. It's really brilliant, and I found myself playing this every day, every morning, waking up to try to get better and better at it. It has 30 levels. It has this ingenious way to post your scores online. Every game has your ID built into it, so they provide a QR code when you're in the game to log into their website through your phone. So you aim your phone at it, you log into the website, and then from there it gives you a QR code for your score. And as soon as you tap that score QR code, it posts your score on that website. So there are online leaderboards for an Atari 2600 game in the year 2025. Definitely amazing. Go check it out. I can't stop playing it. I'm in a thread with my friends where we're all trying to best our scores. It's incredible.
Hands down, it was Helldivers 2, playing with my friends. The day it came out, I remember feeling like this was a whole new experience of gaming, something that I'd never be able to say usually because I played a lot of games. But yeah, the explosions were monumental. There's just something so hilariously chaotic about yelling at each other to get into the evac shuttle at the very last minute when all hell has broken loose. Yeah, Helldivers 2 had what Brat Summer had, is what I like to say. It's like this unique cultural moment that will totally, I feel, be unmatched for many years to come. It's honestly some of the most fun I've ever had gaming, and I can't wait to see what Sony does with the movie.
Oh man, those were incredible. Thank you so much, everybody. We will be right back with more Rocket and Ray Guns. Welcome back to the Rocket and Raygun Awards, taking a look at the best games of 2024. We're moving on to best remake or remaster. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door from Nintendo. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered from Sony Interactive Entertainment. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics from Capcom. Silent Hill 2 from Konami. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake from Square Enix. This is an incredible category because all of these games are sensational. I didn't really want to fall in love with The Last of Us Part 2 again, but I really did. That remastered game on the PS5. Spectacular. It was such an incredible experience to play again. Marvel vs. Capcom, you know I love that collection. What an amazing gift that is. Paper Mario ended up being the game that I had the most fun with on the Nintendo Switch last year, and Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake is absolutely superb. It's sensational, although I didn't like it quite as much as some of the other HD 2D games I played. But the game that won it for me is Silent Hill 2. What an accomplishment from Bloober Team. Everybody counted them out. Nobody expected this game to be honored in quite the majestic way that it has been. It is an amazing, creepy, super cool experience, and it's a love letter to the original. It's really wonderful, and I think everybody agreed with me in the poll. Yes, it won 39.3% of the votes. Paper Mario was up there very high as well with 25.8%, but Silent Hill 2 is definitely our winner. All right, let's move on to the best sports game of 2024. FC 25 from EA Sports. MLB The Show 24 from Sony Interactive Entertainment. Madden NFL 25 from EA Sports. NBA 2K25 from 2K Sports. NHL 25 from EA Sports. No surprises with the nominations. Both EA Sports and 2K Sports both do a terrific job handling the respective sports licenses that they have. And if you like each of these individual sports, you're going to find fun in these sports games. Although I have to say, all of them drove me a little crazy at how much the store was front and center as you loaded into the game. Everything was about jumping online and buying this and buying that and buying credits and buying cards. And it's exhausting. As I was playing through all of them, they're all beautiful. But the game that I think really reached the creative highs was MLB The Show 24. Once again, bringing back lots of interesting historical elements into the game. You can jump into the careers of awesome ball players. You can dig into the history of the Negro Leagues. The play of the game is amazing, and there are lots of leagues and all of the different stadiums, and it just looks gorgeous, and it's also available for every platform. Sony and the MLB worked it out so that it's everywhere. They're all cool games. Listen, I had fun with NHL. I thought FC 25 is really starting to come into its own. It's very beautiful. I'm liking some of the arcadey elements in that game as well, and the Madden team is not slouching either. They've got a game that really pops off the screen. I'm looking forward to seeing what next gen on all of these different engines and all of these different games turns out to be. But for my money, I think MLB 24 is our Rocket and Raygun Award winner. And in the polls, you guys agreed with me. 36% voted for MLB, 33% for NHL. A lot of Canadians voted in this poll. But you know what? All of the sports games are good. They can just be tuned to be a little bit more inclusive and a little bit less of a sales job, I think, right? Now, also put a call out there for you guys to send me a video talking about your favorite developer from 2024.
For me, 2024 was all about Stalker 2. The fact that GSC Game World was able to release something so good in spite of a pandemic, an invasion, and then an evacuation of their hometown is a real testament to what can be done when you treat your employees like people instead of disposable code monkeys. They deserve all the accolades that they get and more, because what they've done is frankly phenomenal.
It's gonna have to be Team Asobi and Astrobot. They did such a fantastic job of taking the family-friendly platforming space and pushing it into PlayStation, which is traditionally a place that they really haven't had a lot of tremendous success. That market has really been dominated by Nintendo, but they sort of almost out-Nintendo, and there is a magic, just smiling moments when you play Astrobot.
My favorite developer for 2024 would have to be Linceworks with Origami 2. I know, the game's from 2021, but I played a lot of that game for most of 2024. Unfortunately, this developer is no longer making games. They closed their doors already, but they definitely went out with a bang in crafting a 3D stealth 3-player co-op ninja game, and it's awesome. The way you approach levels and coordinate and synchronize assassinations with your partners, it's a fun time. And I sincerely hope that people who worked at Linceworks, somebody picks them up for the next Tenchu game if someone's thinking of making that. If there's a 3D stealth game in the future, they definitely need to pick these guys up. But Linceworks definitely earns my favorite developer for the year.
The Gotoku studio impressed me the most this year with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. It's only their second turn-based RPG, but with how well executed it was, you'd think they've been doing this for over 20 years. The story stood out in particular because of how relatable Ichiban Kasuga is, and with the way his and Kiri's story interweaved, reminded me of Sonic Adventure 2, whether intentional or not. The Hawaii setting was very fun to see because of how well researched it felt, while also seeing the comedy thrown in. You can see this with the monster truck-sized cars on the roads, and the pedestrians that are as big as professional wrestlers, both in and out of combat. So fighting them in a convenience store parking lot at night was always thrilling. The game was such a delight from start to finish, and I can't wait to see what they do next in Like a Dragon 9.
My favorite developer of 2024 is Geometric Interactive. They're the team behind the incredible game Cocoon. As a game developer, the game itself is beautiful, it's wonderful, the puzzles are incredible, but as a developer, there's a whole other level here of anxiety I had, because knowing full well the amount of effort it takes to make a game this well executed. To be honest, it was giving me almost nightmares. I couldn't wait to get through the game though, because as you go through it and you see how brilliant, the brilliant decisions that were made in the design of the puzzles, they're truly inspiring. So when I played through Cocoon, I loved the game on the level of what it was delivering, and the creative aspirations it had, and how well it delivered it. But on a whole other level, I gained an incredible respect for Geometric Interactive and their ability to craft something so beautiful, so flawless, knowing full well how hard it is to do.
The developer that impressed me the most this year, I'm going to give it to an indie. It's going to Billy Basso. I am so sick of Metroidvanias. I cannot play another one. Indie devs, please stop making them. We have too many. We have enough. However, along comes Animal Well, another Metroidvania, but it really is worth your time and it's very impressive. And the reason being, he could have done everything the normal way. He could have made a standard Metroidvania and he still would have done really well. But he chose at every opportunity to take a sharp left turn. Every item you get, every puzzle, every single thing in this game is different. It's very creative and it doesn't seem like it should go in this genre or even in video games at all, but somehow everything works and it's so creative. Every half an hour in that game I was like, wow, that's cool. I want to give more points to people that are trying to be at least very creative, and that game was oozing with creativity. Plus, the visuals are very cool, soundtrack amazing, everything. It's very much my cup of tea. If you haven't played it, try Animal Well. You will not regret it.
My favorite developer of the year goes to Way Forward, because not only did they bring out one of the top beat-em-ups of all time with River City Girls 2, they bought out DLC for that title, which brought back Double Dragon. So it's basically a Double Dragon game now. It's just the amount of love they put into this game. Personality in the characters, the storyline, the mechanics of the fighting. It's crazy. Like the amount of stuff they have in there to pay homage to Double Dragon and River City Ransom. It's just meld together perfectly. It's just such a great crossover. And I'm so glad it got done.
Shout out to Remedy Entertainment. In 2024, I think they killed it. They came out with not one, but two great pieces of DLC, Night Springs and The Lake House. Two great pieces of DLC that just elevated the base game. And then of course, they teed up FBC Firebreak, a really cool and innovative multiplayer game set in the Control universe. Rocket Raygun, thank you so much for having me. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thanks, everybody. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Rocket and Raygun Awards. It is so great to be back at the Capital City Arcade. I love it here, but we've got more awards to get to. Let's move on to the Best RPG of 2024. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door from Nintendo. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth from Square Enix. Dragon Age: The Veilguard from Electronic Arts. Mario and Luigi Brothership from Nintendo. Metaphor ReFantazio from Sega Atlas. As you can see, this was an impossible category. I really enjoyed my time playing both Mario and Luigi Brothership and Dragon Age: The Veilguard. They were both kind of 8.5 out of 10 experiences, but great RPGs, lots of depth, lots of fun to be had in both of those titles. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is one of the best RPGs that Nintendo's ever brought us, and it was a phenomenal game on Nintendo Switch last year. But it was really, I think, between Metaphor ReFantazio and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for the best RPG of the year. You can't go wrong with either. Metaphor is a very mature, very slick, very nuanced role-playing experience that iterates on all of the learnings that Atlas has had over the years, and it creates this whole new vertical for the Atlas team. I'm sure we're going to have sequels to the game because it is phenomenal. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, even though it's a middle in a trilogy and there's more to come and there's cliffhangers galore, and it's a little messy in its design, it is still a gift for anybody that has enjoyed Final Fantasy games for so long, and it's an impossible gift as well. Square Enix has spent so much money to bring us this love letter to Final Fantasy VII, and they haven't squandered it. Remake was great, Rebirth is amazing, and I can't wait to see where they go from here. But our winner for Best RPG for 2024 is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And in the polling, you guys kind of reflected what I just talked about there. 33.3% for Metaphor ReFantazio and 35.8% for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So a lot of you guys agreed with me. All right, let's move on to our next category, Best Licensed Game of 2024. Star Wars Outlaws from Ubisoft. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind from Digital Eclipse. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics from Capcom. Batman Arkham Shadow from Camouflage. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle from Bethesda Softworks. I think this is a very important category in video games. Video games are wish fulfillment, and there's so many great characters that are made and so many amazing universes that we enjoy in different media, and it's awesome to inhabit these characters in video games. And we have great contenders this year. Star Wars Outlaws was beautiful. The Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection was superb. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was a great surprise, and Batman Arkham Shadow was just exquisite. But you know the winner has to be Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Everybody involved in this enterprise knew the assignment, and they came to make something wonderful, and that's exactly what our winner for Best Licensed Game of 2024 is, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And you guys knew that assignment too. You also voted Indy as your Best Licensed Game of the Year with 67.9%. That's quite definitive, you guys. All right, I asked you to send me videos of your favorite game of 2024. Let's take a look.
My three top favorite games of released in 2024, I'd have to say Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I think that kind of revolutionized what Metroidvanias should be like, including with some of the accessibility that was added in by Ubisoft with the shards feature, and you can be able to take a screenshot of wherever you are on the map. I love that, and I hope that more Metroidvania games will include that in the future. Helldivers 2, I had a blast playing that game with all my friends as much as possible. There's so many memories just kind of locked into that experience playing the game. And then other than Indiana Jones, as far as the other favorite game, I think Still Wakes the Deep was a big one for me. I actually just played it the other day, and it's a great story, it's scary, and it's a quick 5-hour experience. I loved it.
All right, number 3 for me goes to Astrobot, the game I had the most fun playing with my family last year. What a joy from top to bottom, awesome game. Number 2 goes to the game I played the most last year, and it's the game I've also played the most this year so far as well, which is Balatro. They probably shouldn't have released it on mobile, but I'm kind of happy they did. Number 1 goes to Nine Souls. Who knew that I wanted 2D Sekiro? Amazing combat, the best parrying, super challenging, especially those bosses. Those bosses will kick your butt. Great art style, great music, great setting. Loved it. Game of the year for me. Nine Souls.
My 3 favorite games from 2024 were Unknown Nine Awakening, being able to play as a South Asian woman lead in an action adventure with force-like powers and being able to stealthily or tactfully disrupt the environment. Felt fun every time. My second favorite game was Persona 3 Reload, which was a remake of the original Persona 3, but with a lot of modern fixes, from fixing unnecessary grinding, and also having a new English voice cast, which I thought did a phenomenal and spectacular job throughout. And my third favorite game was Metaphor Refantasio, which was a new IP from Atlas, and it handles the topics of racism and racial themes very unapologetically. And its main thesis at the start is about if fiction can change the real life progress for the better.
We're going to start off at the top with Helldivers 2. It's essential gaming at this point. It's a cultural phenomenon, absolutely. I know its player numbers have kind of gone up and gone down, but Super Earth requires you to administer that managed democracy. We're going to follow that up with the classic from Devolver in the form of The Plucky Squire, which is an absolutely wonderful game in terms of music, style, graphics, and gameplay. If you love The Legend of Zelda or classic Legend of Zelda and 3D Legend of Zelda, you must play this game. And of course, it wouldn't be 2024 if I didn't mention the classic from Team Asobi, Astrobot. It is the closest to Mario PlayStation will ever have. It's a wonderful game, and it continues to get new DLC, and it has an amazing fan support. As a developer myself, I'm all about supporting and giving love for the small developers check out Team Asobi's Astro Bot.
Game of the Year 2024 was an incredibly difficult thing to land on. There were so many incredible indie experiences like Tactical Breach Wizards, 1000X Resist, and so much just other amazing stuff like Astrobot and Metaphor. But one game stood above all the rest for me, and that was Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. The Yakuza / Like a Dragon series means so much to me, and getting to Infinite Wealth was such a massively incredible experience. Building on the really cool turn-based combat that they introduced in 7 and bringing back Kiryu, reuniting him with Ichiban, and just so much packed in to that game across Kiryu's story and him dealing with an illness in a way that he had never had to before, and Ichiban on the search for his mother. Everything that Infinite Wealth does is just full of heart and hilarity. Dondoko Island, I spent way too much time building up that little place just for myself. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is absolutely amazing. It means the world to me, and it was easily my Game of the Year 2024.
Hey Vic, happy 2025. My Game of the Year for last year would be Space Marine 2. I thought it was a really fun, tight campaign. I find as I get older, I don't have time for video games as much as I'd like, so a nice short campaign that I could play with friends, I thought was a really good time. The graphics were awesome, and the amount of enemies on screen was really neat as well. That's my 2024 Game of the Year. Thanks.
For top games of 2024 for me, I'm going to upset a lot of people, but the Pokemon TCG Pocket game has kind of consumed my entire life. Every single morning, I'm opening my packs. Every single night, I'm opening more packs. And it was just such a nostalgic hit. I know it's a mobile game. I know it pisses people off, but it's still my favorite. I loved Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. For me personally, who goes through my own mental stuff, being able to play a game that has a lot of mental demons was such a cool and interesting experience, especially because the detail that the game puts in to like really make you feel the narrative. Now, I'm not a big fan of side scrollers, but Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown was actually a really fun game. The narrative, the design, just the feel and mechanics really surprised me. And I think Ubisoft did a really good job with that game and was probably my surprise top hit of 2024.
My top 3 games for 2024. All right, this is a little tough. I'm going to say Abathur as far as co-op. It's like a 4-player Roston. Definitely a lot of dope Genesis vibes. We had a great time playing that. Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. Slept on. Top 5 Metroidvania all time. I don't care what anyone says. That game's incredible. And number 1 for me would be Unicorn Overlord. I'm a Fire Emblem guy, Shining Force guy. That game made it into my top 10 video games I've ever played all time. That says a lot. That game is beautiful, and it's top notch. That's actually my Game of the Year anyway. But of course it didn't win. But yeah, those 3, awesome.
3 of my favorite games are The Thaumaturge. If you like The Witcher, Vampire, check this game out. Isometric RPG. Another one, 1000 Times Resist. You've heard a lot of people probably mention it. You're probably not sure why people keep bringing it up. Just play it. Doesn't matter if you know anything about it or not. Just play it, experience it, live it. And last but not least, I want to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Awesome. Open world sort of game, action. As a person who's still new to Final Fantasy VII, I liked every second of it. I like all the silliness of it and the characters, and I'm ready for part 3.
Thanks, everybody. Great highlights there. We'll be right back with more Rocket and Ray Guns. Welcome back to the Rocket Raygun Awards, everybody. Are you ready for a controversial category? Let's get to it. Here are the nominees for the Best Action Adventure Game. Batman Arkham Shadow from Camouflage. Astrobot from Sony Interactive Entertainment. Silent Hill 2 from Konami. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown from Ubisoft. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle from Bethesda Softworks. All right, 5 great games. Each one of them is not only one of the best action-adventure games, but one of the best of 2024. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown was sublime. I am so sad that more people Didn't appreciate that game. Silent Hill 2 is a phenomenal surprise. Nobody expected it to be so good. It is a wonderful experience. I threw Batman Arkham Shadow in there. Yes, I did that. It's a VR game, but it's also a true Batman Arkham experience. It fits right alongside the other Batman games. That's why it belongs in there. Astrobot has been winning a lot of Game of the Year awards out there, and deservedly so. It's phenomenal, but I think people jumped on board a little too soon because the December release of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was so satisfying and such a great combination of action experiences and lots of adventure experiences, lots of puzzle solving, looking in the notebook, taking photographs, experiencing the environments, getting involved in the storytelling. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is our pick for Best Action Adventure of 2024. And in the polling, you guys kind of went along with Astrobot as your choice, and I understand that. 45.5% of you voted for Astrobot. Meanwhile, 29.7% made the correct choice of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. All right, let's move on to the best strategy game of 2024. Unicorn Overlord from Sega Atlas. Tactical Breach Wizards from Suspicious Developments. Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess from Capcom. And you know what? All of these categories were difficult, but I think this may be the most difficult. Choosing between Tactical Breach Wizards, which was such a superb indie strategy experience, or Kunitsugami, or Unicorn Overlord. Oh my God, it was so difficult. It took me right up to the 11th hour to figure this one out, but I'm going with Unicorn Overlord. What an absolutely gorgeous game from Vanillaware, who always makes us gorgeous games, but there's a tremendous amount of depth in there. I was at first a little bit off-put by the fact that when you get into the battles, they're kind of played for you. You're not really tapping buttons. You're watching as the combat unfolds, but it is about how you approach the battles and how you're equipped for the battles and how many people are in your party or your unit before you jump into the battles. And it has this great overworld story and all of these intricate mechanics where you're accumulating gear and other allies and you're trying to take back these forts, and all of it rendered with this gorgeous hand-drawn art style. What a game. In the poll, you guys overwhelmingly reinforced that choice. 59.6% for Unicorn, 27.7% for Kunitsugami, and 12.8% for Tactical Breach Wizards. You gotta play all three of those games. They're all incredible. All right, let's play some more of your favorite gaming memories from 2024.
My favorite gaming memory this year was playing Chants of Sennar, developed by Rundisk and published by Focus Entertainment from September of 2023. Your character encounters a tower in the middle of a large desert. Its inhabitants speaking fictional languages that you don't understand. Solving the mystery of the strange tower and deciphering the languages is the heart and soul of the experience, and it's incredible. Throw in a beautiful art style and then soundtrack, and you've got yourself a hidden gem. And I shared the experience with a friend of mine, which made it all the better. I believe Chants of Sennar remains available on Xbox Game Pass, so go check it out.
My favorite memory from 2024 was getting to play Brawlhalla with some friends in Discord. It was a really fun time getting to play this awesome game with some amazing people. And the community was really awesome.
Big thank you to the Rocket Raygun Awards for having me this year. One of my favorite gaming moments of 2024 has to be those first 2 weeks of Helldivers 2. Nothing beats dropping in with your friends, laughing, you're screaming, chaos is going off, and we're just having fun. And that's what video games is all about.
Besides frequent flattery about my British accent while playing Quidditch Champions, my favorite 2024 gaming memory has to be exploring Gotham exhibits, only to be blown away with the first giant by Batman terrorizing the Suicide Squad.
Now, Ryan, what was your favorite VR gaming memory of 2024?
Chris, I'm always looking for those VR AF moments, and Subside delivered that. It's a scuba diving sim where you just explore the various biomes and depths of the ocean to canyons looking for just hidden treasure. but it's in hyper-realistic environments that just blew me away. I was lost in these worlds. It was so visually impressive. It's the kind of game I would put anybody in to showcase how far along VR visuals have gotten, and it blew me away. What about you?
Mine would have to be Alien Rogue Incursion. It was one of my favorite VR games of the year, definitely a runner-up there. But I tell you, as a huge Alien fan, Alien Isolation might be the Alien game, but Alien Rogue Incursion was definitely the Aliens experience. And grabbing a pulse rifle in VR and having my motion detector while xenomorphs were like crawling up in the vents and trying to get to me was just absolute, just god tier gaming goodness for 2024. And it's probably a moment that I'm never going to forget.
My top gaming experience in 2024 was for sure jumping into the Arcane series and Teamfight Tactics, which is, you know, IP from Riot Games and League of Legends. I love the Arcane series, and having it come to an end this year, but then live on the experience even more in game was just something really special to me.
And 2024 was an amazing year for video games. For me personally, it was going full throttle back into fighting games and the magic that they create. And the year started amazing with Tekken 8 launching in January and its insane story. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and other Capcom classics came back to modern consoles in 2024. And even in 2025, we have to look forward to more classics like Capcom vs. SNK 2 and Power Stone coming back. But for me, it was about entering my local fighting game scene tournaments. I entered a handful of Street Fighter 6 tournaments, didn't do so well. I entered a Vampire Savior tournament, that Darkstalkers Classic, and I actually placed in the top 6, so that was awesome. But the biggest moment for me in 2024 is I fought the greatest Marvel vs. Capcom 2 player of all time, Justin Wong, and it went exactly how you thought. He absolutely wiped the floor with me. It was not the grand finals of EVO, let's just say that, but it was a memory that I will cherish with me from gaming in 2024.
As someone who loves celebrating anniversaries with video games, my favorite gaming moment of 2024 is when I played every single version of Earthworm Jim. And this game right here is 90s incarnate with its cartoony graphics and leaning on gross out humor, but deep down, it's a very solid platformer, and I really learned to appreciate how much it takes to port this one game into multiple platforms, and while not all of them are made equal, this is still a delight to play 30 years later, and I still highly recommend it.
The best video game memory I had in 2024 was honestly playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I legitimately felt like a kid again watching my first Indiana Jones for the first time. And it was the story kind of enveloped me in, the performance by Troy Baker. I didn't feel like that it was a Harrison Ford sound-alike or whatever. It felt like Indiana Jones. And so I loved every second of it. It was like my I couldn't put it down. It was one of my absolute amazing moments of just exploring the world of Indiana Jones, and getting to be him was just so dang cool.
When I think of my favorite gaming moment of 2024, it would have to be from Spider-Man 2. I played it a year late because of the backlog, but the moment, spoiler alert, the moment you become Venom blew me away completely. I thought I was in a movie. How you just go through all those soldiers as they're shooting at you and you're just destroying the entire area you're fighting in, and the music they're playing in the background. It was one of those gaming moments where I was just in awe of what was going on, and like when you complete that entire part, which I thought was gonna be quick, you just want to hit pause and just give a round of applause for the developers, because it was mind-blowing. It left me speechless. So yeah, it's probably my favorite moment.
When you asked me about what my favorite gaming moment of 2024 was, it's pretty easy. June, Nintendo has their Direct, and they go to the very end of the Direct, and then they say, we have just one more video we'd like to show you. And we all sit with bated breath on the edge of our seat. What is it going to be? Could it be what we have been waiting for over 7 years to finally see gameplay of? And yes, it was. Metroid Prime 4, we find out, is called Beyond. This game began the Nintendo Switch cycle and will end the Nintendo Switch cycle. 7 years of development. And it was absolutely amazing, and it became just an absolute hype moment. Excited, and we saw 2025, knowing that we'll play it in this year and that it could potentially be a cross-gen game. I am so excited for that game this year, and I thought Nintendo did a great job showing it off, and that is my favorite gaming moment of 2024.
developer that impressed me the most in 2024 has to be Arrowhead Game Studios with their release of Helldivers 2. It's a sci-fi third-person cooperative tactical shooter with a heavy emphasis on teamwork. It's so much fun trying to survive hordes of Terminids and automatons while trying to complete objectives and spreading democracy.
For me personally, Ninja Theory with the Hellblade series just does such a phenomenal job. All the research that they put into, especially like the spatial and audio narrative of the game, 10 out of 10. When I'm playing that game, I feel like I'm a part of the world. And for me, that's the most important part of gaming, to kind of escape and set into a world, whether that world is spooky or not, you know? For me, that's the best thing ever.
The developer that impressed me the most in 2024 is actually Bloober Team. I wasn't sure about the Silent Hill 2 remake when I was looking at previews or gameplay videos, but then I played it and it's easily one of the greatest survival horror experiences I've ever played.
A studio called Soul Game Studio is probably the team that impressed me the most with a game that they released last year. They put out a game called Mini Shoot Adventures. Kind of flew under the radar because it's a Steam exclusive title, but it's kind of like A Link to the Past, but if it was a bullet hell. And it's well worth checking out. I hope it comes to consoles and opens up to additional audiences. But also I want to give a shout out to Team Asobi and Studio Zero for Astrobot and Metaphor ReFantazio respectively.
The developer that impressed me the most this year was NetEase Games, who brought us Marvel Rivals. I've never really been able to get into the whole hero shooter genre, but after playing over 80 hours of this game, I think it's safe to say that they've made me into a true believer. I really dig the character design, I'm vibing with the gameplay, and there's just so many heroes to choose from that I've been experimenting to see who I like the best, and so far Mr. Fantastic and Hawkeye have come out on top, but I can't wait to see who else they bring to the game and how that sort of changes up the gameplay, because it's just so much fun. I can't get enough of it.
The developer who really impressed me in 2024, I had to give it to Bloomberg Team. I know a lot of people weren't too excited about them taking on Silent Hill 2 remake. The presentation and the love that they gave this game, it is truly remarkable what they did here, and now I kind of want them to remake another one.
I'm gonna go with Strange Scaffold, headed up by Xalavier Nelson. They put out this year Life Eater, Click Holding, and they put out I Am Your Beast. Just last year, they put out El Paso Elsewhere. They've also announced 3 or 4 additional projects coming probably this year. The pace that these guys are on is incredible. I really admire what they're doing and their approach to how they make games. This year, though, it was I Am Your Beast. It is like Jason Bourne meets Neon White. You're this ex-government agent in the force. They want you to come in for one last job. Again, and your character just breaks and he's just gonna fight all the federal agents that are coming for him. I Am Your Beast. If you have not played that, please check it out.
I like to tip my hat. I don't have an indie hat like Vic. I actually loaned it to Vic when he was playing as Indiana Jones for his review. But I like to send a special shout out to Bethesda and Machine Games for being able to put out what is arguably the best video game adaptation of a major film character.
I've got to give it to Arrowhead Game Studios for Helldivers 2. Truly, they took everything great about the first game, leveled it up, and gave it even better combat, more explosions, and found that perfect balance of teamwork and chaos and ragdolling. And it's just great. Plus, that tongue-in-cheek humor that, of course, makes it so iconic is so freaking good. So I'm glad that it got the attention it deserved. It was a massive success, obviously, and Helldivers 2 really put Arrowhead on the map. For that reason, they left me really impressed, and they have my pick.
Some awesome developers in that list. Thank you so much for everybody that contributed. Let's move on to the best family-friendly game of 2024. Super Mario Party Jamboree from Nintendo. The Plucky Squire from Devolver Digital. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom from Nintendo. Astrobot from Sony Interactive Entertainment. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door from Nintendo. All right, this one wasn't that difficult, I have to admit. Everybody in the polls agreed with me on this one. Astrobot is our winner. What an exceptional game. It's very family friendly. It's definitely going to be one of those types of games you throw up on the television and everybody in the room is going to be smiling. It is so charming and so tight. There's so much precision. Astrobot just took the cake. It's a love letter to all eras of PlayStation, and it's just a refined, beautiful piece of work. It's a must pick up if you have a PlayStation 5, and 70.3% of you agreed. Astrobot is our winner for the best family-friendly game of 2024. All right, let's hear some more of your favorite gaming memories from 2024.
My favorite gaming memory of 2024 was working through the speedrun levels of Astrobot. There are 5 of them, and what my friends and I would do is compete to see who could get the fastest time, and we'd post our videos and screenshots in our Discord, and if any one of us beat the other by even like a millisecond, we would just drop what we were doing and hop back on to see if we could do better. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but you know what? We had a great time doing it.
My favorite memory playing a game in 2024 has got to... Stellar Blade. There's this one level in Stellar Blade. When you reach the city of Zion, there's this one wall with a crevice, and if you back up onto it in the right way and then you angle the camera down... actually, never mind. My second favorite memory of this year has got to be making and completing my own video game. And I know it's not, don't worry, I'm not going to use this as a way to plug my game. I won't even say the name of it, but I will. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about that. But no, really, releasing a video game has been a childhood goal of mine as far back as even watching this show that I'm on right now when I was a kid. And after all these long years later, I finally did it, and it's incredible being able to watch people play the game on YouTube and Twitch, find the little secrets I hid that I thought no one would find. It's been very gratifying, and I cannot wait to make another one. I come from the film industry where there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of problems, so it feels nice to be part of this industry where there are no problems at all.
I would have to say my favorite gaming moment of 2024 is from a game that came out in 2022. It's Infernax. If you don't know what Infernax is, it's a Metroidvania game developed by Berserk Studio and published by the Arcade Crew. It pretty much pays homage to Castlevania 2. There's a lot of little Easter eggs in there that go back to that title. It's amazing what they put into this game. There's multiple ways to play through this game. There's the good way and the evil way. So me and 23rd Style played co-op in this, the evil way this time. And the amount of disturbingly, dastardly things they have you do is hilarious. It's just something I didn't expect to be as violent, but fun, but very, very fun. This game is awesome. They even have a Contra mode in it. It's incredible. So much replay value. I had so much fun playing through it the second time, going down the evil path.
So my favorite gaming memory from this year isn't from a particular game, it's actually going to the Game Awards. I've been to the Game Awards in person quite a handful of times, and I always have a good time there. Being there for the 10th anniversary, though, there was a special feeling and vibe in the air. Not only just being in the room with the reactions and hearing the trailers on this large sound system, all the big names and legends of the industry, and same thing for the media and press. Everybody's there together, and it's one of the few times ever where the gaming community as a whole and the creators can all connect together. We don't have an E3 anymore to have that connection, so it's nice that this is still around and it's open for everybody just to thank each other. It revives the passion for gaming and the love for gaming, and it helps me remember why I'm doing this as a creator and what I love about gaming the most.
My best memory of playing a video game in 2024 was finally beating Doom Eternal's Taurus Nabad Master level on the highest difficulty, Ultra Nightmare. I initially got into the Doom series, and Electric Playground, through my dad, who has been a fan since the original Doom released back in 1993. I've been playing Doom Eternal off and on since 2021, and it has quickly become one of my all-time favorite games. Master levels are levels from the Doom Eternal campaign that have been reworked to include much more difficult encounters, while the Ultra Nightmare difficulty is a permadeath mode where dying at any point causes you to restart the Master level. When I first tried a Master level, I couldn't even finish it with unlimited lives on an easy difficulty. After investing time to learn the quick-swapping weapon mechanic, practicing staying airborne, and making use of the various abilities like Flame Belch, grenades, and dashing, I worked my way up the difficulties and beat some of the Master levels on Ultra Nightmare. However, Taurus Nabad always eluded me, but after many, many deaths, I was finally able to beat it in 2024.
Probably my favorite moment was playing this game called While We Wait Here, and you're in this diner, and at first it just kind of feels like kind of small town version of Diner Dash with maybe like a bit of a crime drama. You're like, whatever. And then you go into the back room of the diner that you own to get some food and stuff to serve, and what you see back there, and I won't spoil it, but what you see in the back room makes you go, wait, what am I playing? And then when you come back from that room into the main diner again, you're like, okay, what is this freaking game? And it totally blows your mind and makes you go, I'm really grateful for the state of indie games and developers who are now able to express their visions. So I would say that moment, both because of what it represents and also because it was a total mind for the player. While We Wait Here, 2024 best gaming moment.
We'll be right back. Don't go away.
My three favorite games of last year were Astrobot, as I mentioned, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I think this is one of the greatest Metroidvanias ever released. And my third game, Victor, you're gonna love this. It's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I adored this game from beginning to end, and Troy Baker, national treasure in our industry.
While I had a blast navigating the dangers and bugs of the Exclusion Zone in Stalker 2, or playing Detective in Rise of the Golden Idol, my number one game this year has to be Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Now, I don't know what kind of black magic Machine Games was conjuring up while making this game, but they managed to not only exceed every concern and expectation I had leading up to release, but also craft an Indiana Jones experience that I've not felt since playing the original Fate of Atlantis as a child on my Mac, or for that matter, rewatching the original trilogy on VHS over and over during my summer break. This game was chock full of my favorite moments this year and had me grinning ear to ear right up until the end credits, humming the theme song as it swelled. Thank you, Machine Games, thank you, Bethesda, and my inner child thanks you too.
Stellar Blade is the first one. This game I felt got looked over pretty much because it came out earlier in the year. This is an astoundingly beautiful game, and I'm not just talking about Eve, I'm talking about the actual graphics of the game, flawlessly done. This is a sci-fi action adventure game, and if you like Devil May Cry, you're gonna love this game. The second title, Black Myth Wukong. If you like Dark Souls, this has a lot of difficulty in it, and it's a lot of fun, but you gotta get good, as they say. My third title, if you don't see it on the shirt here, Astrobot. Now I know this got critical acclaim. This game is unbridled, unparalleled fun. It's Sony's Mario. That's exactly what it is. That's how I explain it to everybody. It brings back the reason you started playing video games in the first place. And on that note, play forever.
Let me run you down my top 3 games of 2024. Coming at number 3, Super Mario Party Jamboree. Anytime I can bring my family together for some couch co-op and couch chaos, I am all about it. Love the amount of variety, love the amount of mini games. It is a ton of fun, and we keep going back and playing it, and that's exactly what I want a Mario Party game to be. My number 2, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Take an isometric Legend of Zelda game, fuse in the art style of the new Link's Awakening, and by the way, did we also mention it has mechanics from Tears of the Kingdom? Okay, check mark, yes please. Oh, and by the way, Zelda is the hero. I am all in, all for it. I love the problem solving and the mechanics within it. And my number 1 game, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This is probably one of the best Metroidvania games in the last 10 to 15 years. And the team at Ubisoft pushed out additional challenge packs, skin packs, and DLC later. This is a game I think a lot of people slept on and should absolutely be on your list. Those are my top 3 games for 2024.
Let's go! Astrobot, number 3. Love this game so much. It's a great platformer, one of my favorite platformers ever, if not my favorite platformer. Great celebration of PlayStation history, along with just video game history in general. It's just a celebration of games. Really fun and enjoyable. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, number 2. So, yeah, I love the original Final Fantasy VII, and yeah, having Rebirth here was just part 2 being amazing experience, and yeah, loved the characters, loved the story direction. Too many mini games, but still, it was a lot of fun to play through. And then my number 1 game, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I haven't laughed so much in a game ever. Everything about this was amazing, along with having a very serious story, along with this humor rate. It's Like a Dragon Yakuza games at its best. And so those are my 3 favorite games of 2024. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for having me.
I would say my number 3 game is Star Wars Outlaws. It was just not the best Star Wars game at all ever made, but the best Star Wars sandbox, the best Star Wars simulation. As a kid growing up, seeing Star Wars day 1 in the theater in 77. Number 2 is probably the previously mentioned While We Wait Here, weird little horror game, crazy as crap. I talked about it earlier in the show. Number 1 game of the year for me, Indiana Jones, The Great Circle. This is the true spiritual sequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark that we never, ever got. This is the second best Indiana Jones story ever told. It was brilliant. If you're not an indie fan, does it work? I don't know. I don't care. I think it probably does. A lot of people love it who aren't indie fans or who didn't come up with indie like I did, but I can just tell you it captured what I love about the character, the world. Troy Baker was amazing. The story was great. The adventure was wonderful. I adored every moment of it. So Indiana Jones, The Great Circle, 2024 Game of the Year for me.
Holy Game of the Year, Batman Arkham Shadow. Since my Batman fandom was reinvigorated by Batman Arkham Asylum, thanks to yours and Scott's review, after Batman Arkham Knight ended the tetralogy, because this underrated black sheep Batman Arkham Origins still exists, I'd wondered how Camouflage would pull off first-person Batman gameplay. Turns out, they actually made up for perspective and VR limitations, so I can still feel free-flow combat, stealth, and detective encounters, waiting for intriguing story beats.
First is gonna be Unicorn Overlord. It looks so beautiful with the art, it's clean, the music is great. Vanillaware outdid themselves with this game, and if you're a strategy role-playing fan, you owe it to yourself to play this. Next would be Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. One thing about this game is that it validates the freedom that you experience in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and it makes 2D top-down Zelda better for it. It was great to play as Zelda. She definitely shows you what a wizard or magician class would play like in The Legend of Zelda. The game contains the fun of experimentation that is present in the last 2 3D Zeldas. The quality of the game was amazing. And the third game I would have to give Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. Developers took Turtles and they approached it not just a typical brawler beat 'em up way. It gets compared a lot to Hades, but it's got the Diablo isometric style, roguelike elements in it. The game loop, it's addicting, it's a lot of fun, high energy, great multiplayer. The art style is amazing. Just to see Turtles work in a roguelike environment, I'm looking forward to the DLC. So those 3 games.
My favorite game from 2024 was Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. I loved the visuals, the music, the wide variety of characters, boss fights, and the different environments that you got to explore. I also really enjoyed exploring Hawaii in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and being able to play as both Kiryu and Ichiban and their allies was really amazing.
And my game of the year for 2024 was definitely Indiana Jones and the Great Circle from Bethesda and Pushing Games, because it let me hit Nazis in the nose with the show. And that's a fact.
Thanks everybody for all of your great suggestions for what should have been the game of the year, but now it's time for the show to actually award the Rocket and Raygun for Best Video Game of 2024. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle from Bethesda Softworks. Metaphor ReFantazio from Sega Atlas. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth from Square Enix. Mini Shoot Adventures from Soul Game Studios. Astrobot from Sony Interactive Entertainment. Oh, such great choices there, and so many of these games have already been picking up awards all over the place. But a little game came out in December, and I kind of spoiled a surprise. My game of the year for 2024 is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and it is a great reason why the Rocket and Raygun Awards always have to come after the end of the year. This was an incredible release in December, and yes, Metaphor ReFantazio is superb, as is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and you know I love Astrobot, and Mini Shoot Adventures, I think, is that surprise title in there, but that game just completely captivated me over the holiday break, and it was one of the most enjoyable gaming experiences I had in the year. But the most fun I had, and the biggest shock and awe that I felt playing a video game, was definitely with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The fact that Harrison Ford is represented in the game and celebrated in the game, and Troy Baker did such a phenomenal job embodying the performer and the character, and all of the great mixture of adventuring and puzzle solving and the action elements in there. It is a triumphant release. I can't wait for PlayStation owners to get their hands on the game later this year. I hope that more award shows throughout 2025 pay attention to Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I hope it's not one of those forgotten classics that came out at the end of the year. But for the Rocket and Raygun Awards, that is our winner for Game of the Year. In the polling, you guys actually decided that Astrobot should have been the Game of the Year for 2024 with 39.6% of the vote. Indiana Jones is right behind it, though, with 27.4%. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I had a blast putting this together. I am so grateful that everybody contributed their content and their videos, and they voted in all the polls. Thank you for your support, and thank you so much to the Capital City Arcade team. Always have an amazing time here. If you're ever in the Vancouver area, make sure you come to this retro arcade. You're going to come away with big, big smiles. This is an incredible place. We will see you soon, and until then, play forever.